Story time about how I hooked up with the police officer who arrested me and now I think he's stalking me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I'm just a little bit of a party girl. I'm always getting myself into trouble and somehow I've never gotten arrested until last week. My friends and I constantly go out and get super drunk. Fortunately, when I get drunk, I tend to get a little bit aggressive. So if you're like me, do not drink. My friend group consists of 5 girls including me. 3 of them are super chill and funny when they get drunk. The other 2 turn into raging bitches when we get drunk. So half of the group is always trying to fight somebody and the other half is trying to calm the situation. So I'm the one that's always trying to start a fight. All of this went down last week. My friends and I are all standing at the bar and this one girl behind me starts pushing her way through. She is literally pushing me and my 2 other friends out of the way. Of course, I instantly flew into a rage because I'm already drunk. Without saying anything, I push the girl and she falls on her ass. Her friends come at me, start punching me and pulling my hair. So I started kicking them with my boots. Before I knew it, it was a huge fight between 5 people. Long story short, the police comes and they try to arrest us. Well, the cop that arrested me was really hot. So I flirted with him the whole time. Part 2 is up. Story time about how I hooked up with the police officer who arrested me and now he's stalking me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. That's when the super hot officer starts arresting me. So I decided to start flirting with him. I mean, why not? He put me in his police car and he started driving me to the station. On the way, I started asking him if he was single. And he actually flirted back. We actually had a pretty good conversation even though I was drunk. Spent 4 hours in the police station and they ended up calling my brother to get me out. Guess what I did? I told my brother to leave me at the police station because I was going to try to hook up with the police officer. My brother got so mad at me. He called me stupid and he left. That's when I went back into the police station and I started flirting with the police officer again. At this point, it was 5 in the morning and I was really hungry. So I asked him to take me out to breakfast and he did. We went to a cute diner. It was like a freaking movie. And then afterwards, we hooked up in his car. He did everything you could possibly imagine in his car. Here's the thing. My plan was to never see this man again. He took me home and he asked me for my number. I politely declined. Later that day, I go to class because, by the way, I'm in college. I actually saw this man driving by. So I wasn't sure, but then I realized it was him. Later on that night, I'm home and I'm about to take a shower. There's a knock on my door and I go open it. Guess who it is? Part 3 is story time about how I hooked up with the police officer who arrested me and now he's stalking me. Claim is not my story time. I sent me on Instagram. Hear the knock on the door and I go to open it. And it's the police officer. Mind you, I'm in a towel about to take a shower. When I opened the door, I didn't say anything. Just staring at him like, what do you want? And he said, can I come in? And I said no. He came in anyway. He sat down on the couch and just stared at me. Then he asked me why I hooked up with him if my intention was not to ever see him again. I told him that I was simply just trying to have fun with him and that was it. Then he talked for 10 minutes about how he and I would make a great couple and how much in common we have. That alone was a huge red flag. He met me when I was drunk fighting with people at a bar. I mean, how could he want a relationship with me? And he said something that sent chills down my spine. He said, you look great in baby blue. I instantly realized that I was wearing baby blue underwear. He was watching me minutes before while I was getting undressed to take a shower. He tried to kiss me, but I pulled away. And I told him that if he followed me again, I would report him. He laughed and said, you think that's gonna work? And he begged to take me out on a date. I said yes to going on a date because I feared that he was gonna try to R-word me. I'm going on a date with him in a few days. What should I do? How do I prepare for this? I need to somehow make him hate me. What should I do?
Storytime about how I tried to stick up for this kid on the bus, but it got me suspended. So a little background information, I was 12 and in 7th grade. So it was a Wednesday, and when school ended, I got on the afternoon bus. And there was this boy named Josh that I was friends with. So I went and I sat next to him on the bus. After 5 minutes of us waiting for the bus driver to get back on the bus, this boy named Kai that everybody loves for some reason comes over and rips me out of the seat. After that, he sits down next to Josh and starts punching him and screaming at him. So I grab this kid by his book bag, rip him out of the seat, and I sit next to Josh. I put my headphones in, plug in my phone, and this kid grabs the phone, throws it at the front of the bus. And there weren't any adults on the bus at this time because our bus driver was using the bathroom. And I didn't go up and get my phone because I knew that if I moved, this kid was probably going to hurt Josh again. So then this kid starts trying to punch me. So I punch him in the stomach. An adult comes on the bus, finally, for part 2. Part 2 about how I got suspended for trying to stick up for some kid on the bus. So like I said, this kid is starting to try to punch me. So I punch him in the stomach. Finally, an adult gets on the bus. She yells at us to all sit down. And by the way, all the little fucking 12-year-olds had their phones out recording what was happening. So they look at the cameras, they were interviewing some of the kids, and Josh's sister comes up to me, and I was like, oh, shit. Hopefully she's not gonna yell at me. I don't know why she would, but still. She was like, hey, I just wanted to say thank you for sticking up for my brother. So then after a little bit, I hear my name get called on the speaker. Kai, Josh, and I were all called down to the office. All of our parents were there. Kai got a 3-day suspension and I got a 3-week suspension. Even though I literally had scratches all over my freaking arms and Kai didn't even have a bruise on him. Well, my mom, being the boss-ass bitch that she is, she told the school that if they went through with my suspension, she would call the news and tell them that my school was letting kids get away with bullying. Storytime about why my best friend cut me off. So a little background information, I was 24 and I had a full-time job as a nurse, and I had been best friends with this girl since we were in 7th grade. As soon as she turned 21, she got married, had a kid, and just like any young tragic love story, her boyfriend, who was way older than her, left her for some girl who just turned 18. So I ended up letting her move in with me. She had too much pride to go back to her mom's house. I ended up kicking her out of my house though, because she would have random guys over 24/7 and she would smoke you know what in my house. So I had the cops called on me 24/7 because my neighbors could smell it. So fast forward to now, she's living with her mom. Her and I got over that fight and she decided that she wanted to go to college. I was so proud of her, but she asked me if I could watch her kid when she had to go into school because she was doing mostly online. So of course I said yes, I wanted her to succeed. Like for part 2. Part 2 about why my best friend cut me off. So like I said, she finally decided to go to college. Me being super happy for her, I would watch her kid whenever she would have to go into school. Well, the one night I'm making dinner and her kid's in the living room, I'm in the kitchen, and I go into the living room to tell him that dinner is ready. And I see my dog backed up into a corner and him with a fire poker literally poking my dog. I wouldn't even call it poking, he was pretty much trying to stab my dog. My dog has its ears back, it's shaking with anxiety. So I go over and I rip it out of his hands and I smack his fingers. And I tell him, we do not do that to the dog. Like, what is wrong with you? So my friend comes, picks him up. A few days later, she comes to drop him off again. And she says, hey, can I talk to you? I already knew what it was about, so I was expecting this. She was like, Gavin told me that you hit him last time he was here. And I was like, yeah, he pretty much was stabbing my dog. And then she's like, oh, well, you know, he doesn't mean any harm. He plays with the dogs like that at home. Like,
for reference, my brother is 19, I'm 26, and my now ex-fiance Hunter is 28. My brother was kicked out when he was 16 because our parents snooped through his phone and found out that he was gay. Connor had a birthday party last weekend, so we invited his friends over. They were all 18 to 22-year-olds drinking and playing games. Hunter and I were about to head out to let them have the place to themselves when Connor asked if he wanted to join them. I initially refused, a bit too old to be playing drinking games, but he insisted and Hunter thought it'd be fun to act like college students again. We all got pretty drunk and Connor had the idea of playing Never Have I Ever. A few rounds in, the statement, never have I ever cheated before, came up. Now's a good time to mention that Hunter is staunchly against cheating. His ex-fiance cheated on him and it emotionally wrecked him. And unfortunately, as a lot of dumb, immature 17-year-olds do, I cheated on my boyfriend of 5 months. It was a stupid mistake, he found out and understandably ended things. This was almost a decade ago. I obviously learned my lesson and look back at the same time with shame and obviously never cheated since. Well, my brother knows about this, so when I didn't drink, he went, hey sis, what the hell? You know you cheated on blank? You have to drink to that. My fiance paused, looked at me, looked at him, and just walked out of the room. I followed him and tried to tell him that it was a stupid teenage mistake, but he wasn't having any of it and ended things on the spot. I'm numb. I'm heartbroken. He was my everything and more, and I still don't know how I'm going to move on. Connor tried to apologize, but I feel nothing but sadness and emptiness. This morning, I served him an eviction notice. He begged me to stay and said that he didn't mean to ruin my relationship and he just didn't think when he said those words. He ruined my life after I raised and cared for him like he was my own. I feel so hurt. Am I the asshole for kicking my brother out, who our parents have previously disowned because he told my now ex-fiance that I cheated 9 years ago?
Am I the asshole for leaving after I found out my sister-in-law was lying about her food allergy? I, female 18, turned 18 in early August. For my 18th birthday, I wanted to go out and celebrate with my family by going to my favorite Chinese restaurant. I'm quite a picky eater. I'm autistic and have issues with textures, but any type of Asian food is safe for me. When it comes to more Western cuisine, I don't have a lot of options unless I make it at home. Everything was organized and ready to go, but a week prior to my birthday, my brother's fiance, Vicky, female 27, said that she can't go. She said that she has a seafood allergy, and after contacting the restaurant, they can't realistically cater to her. And they politely advised she doesn't eat there. So Vicky and my brother suggested we go to this Italian restaurant instead. Everybody was on board, but I hate Italian food. The textures of cheese, pasta, and just all of it just gross to me. I got upset because it was supposed to be a dinner for my birthday and it was like I got forgotten about. I talked to my parents and they told me to stop complaining and that Vicky can't help her allergy. I spent my birthday miserable and ended up sneaking in my own snacks into the restaurant. The week after, I went to my brother's house and guess what I saw? Am I the asshole for leaving after I found out sister-in-law was lying about her food allergy? Last weekend, I spontaneously went over to my brother's house and he let me in. I saw Vicky on the couch scoffing tuna like it's nobody's business. I said, I thought you were allergic to seafood. She then asked me, what am I talking about? I reminded her of how she said she was allergic last month and we couldn't go to the Chinese restaurant. She said, well, I'm not medically allergic, I just can't stand the smell of the shrimps and the prawns. It makes me feel nauseous. I said that she ruined my birthday because she didn't like how seafood smelled. Wow. My parents think I'm dramatic and it's just a restaurant and told me to apologize. Am I the asshole for encouraging my ex-husband to take a DNA test and potentially destroying his family? Me and my ex-husband James tried for 7 years to have a baby, and James didn't like to go to the doctor to solve fertility things. He even encouraged me not to have annual checkups at the gynecologist. He blamed me for being infertile and that I was unable to have our children. We broke up after he accused me of being a sterile bitch. The plot twist is that after meeting my current husband and we started trying, I decided to go to the hospital and check out my fertility problem. To my shock, everything is healthy and I could have had a child for years probably. The doctor pointed out the possibility of James's infertility. Am I the asshole for encouraging my ex-husband to take a DNA test? Now I have 3 children, 4 male, and 2 female. James and I still have mutual friendship and have already met after the divorce. I hadn't seen him though in 3 years until recently. I met up with James and we started talking and he said he was engaged and had a 7-month-old son. I said that I have 3 children and he said, I'm happy for you. You managed to solve your infertility and got your family. I giggled and said, honey, infertility wasn't on my side. I was able to have kids with you too. Well, yesterday, the now ex-fiance called me raging because he got a DNA test and the baby isn't his.